Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay Just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you all had an amazing holiday. I myself, in the Cutter One household, we were doing the Christmas thing, and it was awesome. It was really freaking cool. It was laid back, very very mellow. It was Mrs. J Just J, and the younglings. I have a son and a daughter, and when I say younglings, I'm being very weird about that. My son's 20. Um, Daughter is 28. So anyway, yeah, it was a good Christmas, and I hope whatever holiday you are celebrating or we're celebrating or continue to be celebrating, that it was amazing. It is amazing, and it continues to be amazing, and you are having the best one yet. Okay, so there we go. So just to touch base on a couple of things. So I was gone for. There was no videos on Saturday and Sunday and yesterday. Yesterday was sort of thrown into the mix because I forgot that Mrs. J Just J was off from her job as well. So, I gotta spend time with the missus. We gotta, I mean, you guys are great, but that's my wife. So I had a 3-day weekend for me, if you will. So I am back now, and I mean, let's get right into it, shall we? Okay. This one was coming to us from the good folks at boundingintocomics.com, and it was from Christmas Eve, no less. It says Amazon executive Vernon Sanders doubles down on diversifying Middle-earth for The Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2. All right, Amazon Studios executive Vernon Sanders recently stated that the second season for The Lord of the Rings of Power, will double down on the first season's diversification of Middle-earth through its casting. In a brief interview with Deadline's Nelly Andriva, Sanders was asked, quote, "From the Season 2 cast addition announcements so far, it appears that you are continuing to bring diversity to Middle-earth. Can you speak about that and tease more familiar characters from the lore that we can expect?" Unquote. He responded, this quote, "The series continues to be cast from all around the world. We think that represents the show that we created in Season 1, and we're doing the same thing for Season 2. We are trying to find the best actor for the role. We've already announced that there'll be some characters from the lore. I don't think we've announced all of them, so there are surprises to come. I think the fans will be really delighted," he asserted. Not only did Sanders reveal the show will continue to diversify Tolkien's Middle-earth through its casting, but he also tried to explain why the show hasn't been greenlit for a third season, despite claiming Amazon Studios is committed to 5 seasons. Sanders was specifically asked if he and Amazon Studios were still committed to showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay's 5-season plan for the series. Sanders responded, quote, "We are absolutely committed. We have every reason to be excited. They've done a tremendous job," unquote. However, despite this bluster of commitment, Sanders went on to state that the third season was not yet greenlit. Quote, "It's a great question about Season 3. We're probably 2 or 3 months in on Season 3, but I think there could be news certainly in the new year," unquote. He then appeared to explain why the show hasn't been greenlit for Season 3 yet, despite the supposed commitment for 5 seasons. "There's so much planning and prep that it's necessary for us to get this mounted that the only reason we probably haven't gotten there quite yet is we've just been so heads down in Season 2, but I would expect there to be news in the new year," unquote. Sanders' comments should come as a surprise. Amazon Studios insulted and denigrated fans who wanted casting consistent with Tolkien's writings and the lore he created for Lord of the Rings. They did this from the onset of their marketing for their first season at the beginning of this year, when they used Vanity Fair to run a smear campaign against Tolkien fans. As part of the smear article, Rings of Power executive producer Lindsay Weber said the show altered and race-swapped multiple characters because, quote, "It felt only natural to us that an adaptation of Tolkien's work would reflect what the world actually looks like," unquote. Weber went on to say, quote, "Tolkien is for everyone. His stories are about his fictional races doing their best work when they leave the isolation of their own cultures and come together," unquote. Vanity Fair, seemingly at the behest of Amazon, or at the very least approved by Amazon, then cited a woman named Mariana Rios Maldonado, who claims she's a Tolkien scholar. But in reality, she's the Equality and Diversity Officer for the University of Glasgow's Center for Fantasy and Fantastic, who, quote, is interested in ethics, feminist theory, and encountering the other in Tolkien's works, unquote. Maldonado told Vanity Fair, quote, obviously there was going to be push and backlash. But the question is, from whom? Who are these people that feel so threatened or disgusted by the idea that an elf is black or Latino or Asian, unquote? This is like a laundry list of how they've tried to screw us Tolkien fans over. But let's continue. In these attacks, if these attacks weren't clear enough that they were originating from Amazon Studios, Morfydd Clark, who plays Galadriel, told Tolkien fans and critics of the show's vast changes to Tolkien's writings to shut up. She wrote on her Instagram stories, anyone sending hate to my black castmates, get off my page, get off the internet, and shut up. She then shared a short video of her castmate, Charles Edwards, as Celebrimbor, making a hand motion that reveals the phrase, shut the fuck up. Clark would seemingly ask in a caption below the video, who made this? As the show's promotion continued, Weber's facade would fall apart, and she outright described critics as racists. She told Time magazine, quote, we're all up for criticism, we're not up for racism, unquote. Amazon then outright called Tolkien fans racists in a PR move straight out of Lucasfilm and Star Wars, one that has significantly contributed to the degradation and downfall of the vaunted franchise. The official Lord of the Rings on Prime Twitter account issued a statement accusing fans of racism while at the same time using a slogan, quote, you are all welcome here, unquote. The statement began, we, the cast of Rings of Power, stand together in absolute solidarity and against the relentless racism, threats, harassment, and abuse some of our castmates of color are being subjected to on a daily basis. We refuse to ignore it or to tolerate it. J.R.R. Tolkien created a world which, by definition, is multicultural, the statement continued. A world in which free peoples from different races and cultures join together in fellowship to defeat the forces of evil. Rings of Power reflects that. Our world has never been all white. Middle-earth is not all white. BIPOC belong in Middle-earth, and they are here to stay, unquote. Sorry about that. That was my phone in the background. Finally, all our love and fellowship go out to the fans supporting us, especially fans of color who are themselves being attacked simply for existing in this fandom, added the series production team. We see you, your bravery and endless creativity. Your cosplays, fan cams, fan art, and insights make this community a richer place and remind us of our purpose. You are valid, you are loved, and you belong, they concluded. You are an integral part of the Lord of the Rings family. Thanks for having our backs. Namarie. It didn't stop there, though. At the end of October, cast members Ismael Cruz Cordova, Cynthia Dye Robinson, and Sofia Nomvete claimed they were victims of racism while speaking with Variety. Variety's Nick Varelli asked the trio, okay, you know what? I'm not even going to read this crap. Again, my thing is, where's the receipts? Okay, where are the receipts? Yeah, I mean, there's like multiple paragraphs of them just quoting quotes that we've already gone over, so I don't need to read them again. You guys know the quotes I'm talking about. But then the article ends. I'll jump right here to the end. Given the vitriol and hate Amazon Studios has directed towards Tolkien fans, it's likely this will continue. It's also highly likely the show will continue to bleed its audience in a similar vein to Star Wars as they continue to act like Grima Wormtongue. However, Tolkien fans have been enlightened by Gandalf the White and see through the lies and deception. All right, what do you make of Sanders' comments and stuff like that? Well, I mean, unfortunately, that article, and it's sad that we would have to do this, but that article about Rings of Power and what to expect in Season 2 literally just turns into a list of how the show basically gave a big fuck you to the fans, right? Now, here's a couple of things. I just want to touch on a couple of things that they said. Okay, first of all, the idea that it's quote-unquote racist backlash, okay? Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I will say it to Vernon Sanders' face or, Lindsay Weber or this Mariana Maldonado expert or scholar, as she calls it. I'll say this again. Tolkien was creating a mythology for the British people, England, right? That was his stated goal. Okay, was he felt his people, his British people, did not have a mythology the same way the Norse had a mythology or the Greeks had a mythology, right? And so he was trying to create something like that for the British people. Okay, it is on the face of it inherently, it's built into it. It is inherently white European. There, I've said it, okay? I've said the quiet part out loud. Tolkien is inherently white European. Now, that does not mean that people who are non-white don't have a place in Tolkien's stories. They do. And as you guys know on this channel, I've said a story about, Haradrim, right? Or the Easterlings could be told and with a largely non-white cast, right? And that would be totally within lore. It would be keeping with the lore. And there's stories to tell. I recently got into a debate on somebody else. I commented on some other video about quote unquote racist Tolkien fans. And the person tried to make the argument, well, the people, of Harad or the Easterlings, or the Southrons, if you will, they were all evil. They were all evil and just followed Sauron. So you can't really tell a story about them. All the dark people were evil. All the colored people of color were evil, right? And to which I said no. I said, if you know Tolkien's lore, you know that the blue wizards actually went to the east and to the south to basically do what Gandalf did, to inspire the locals to stand against Sauron, okay, and foment rebellion against the influence of Sauron, okay? So you did have good peoples, okay, who were not white in the South and in the East, in Middle-earth, in Tolkien's British-based mythology, okay, and that could have been portrayed. The show chose not to do it because the show is looking for selling points. What are selling points? Well, you basically need a black version of Legolas, okay? And that's Arondir, okay? You basically need to give the dwarves some color, okay? So you give them Disa. And they literally took a sentence from the appendices and somehow managed to figure out that there are black dwarves from that, okay? Now, it is not racist to point this out. If you are literally making changes to Tolkien's work that are visible on screen, like, okay, it's not, you don't have to know the logic behind it to understand that that's different, okay, than what Tolkien writes and describes and stuff like that. It is not racist if I point that out and I say that you shouldn't have done that. There are better ways to do it, okay? By giving us a single black elf or a single black dwarf, you literally are tokenizing those characters, okay? They are the only one. Now, I understand, based on the casting that we're seeing, season 2, they've probably picked up on that, like, oh shit, we basically created tokens here. Let's add some more, right? Because I'm willing to bet we're going to see some more black elves and possibly more black dwarves in season 2, right? And I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is you changing the lore and then attacking the fans because the fans say, wait a minute, you're changing the lore, okay? Again, would we all be on board if there was an outcry that said, quote, Wakanda does not represent the modern world we live in. We need to, when doing a film about Wakanda, we felt it was only right to have it be representative of the modern world we live in, which is multicultural. Because remember, Wakanda wasn't all black. It's not all black. So let's stick some Asian people in, some Japanese people, and some blonde-haired, blue-eyed Nordic people, and let's throw them in there and make them, we got to have an advisor to the Queen of Wakanda, who's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white dude. We'll get Chris Hemsworth to play him, okay, because he's Wakandan, because of multiculturalism. We would never do that, right? And why would we never do that? We would never do that because it's fucking stupid on the face of it. That's why we would never do that. And anybody who would suggest that, we would view them as being an idiot. But for some reason, it is totally okay to do that with Tolkien's work, right? And it's because he's an old, dead, white author, right? It's the same reason why you see adaptations of Shakespeare that have nothing to do with the ideas and concepts that Shakespeare had written, and you see it with other works as well. It's the way modern media works. Okay, so don't come at the fans as being racist. Where's your receipts? Show me any hate that Sofia Nomvete or Ismael Cruz Cordova. Show me some of this hate, because they keep saying that they were sent threats and racist comments and stuff like that. And I so far I've seen other people also say, where are the receipts on this? Because nobody's seen it. You say it, but nobody's seen it. I would like to see it, please. So if you're listening, Vernon Sanders or whoever at Amazon has been tasked with keeping an eye on the racist trolls on YouTube starting issues and stuff like that, if you could please go to your bosses and have them DM me some receipts, I would love to see that, please. Okay, otherwise I'm calling bullshit on when you say that. Okay, I don't know a person on this planet that says, oh, you know what, I'm going to send some hate to this actor who I've never even seen before, okay, because he's black and he's in Lord of the Rings, and therefore I feel I should risk my job, my livelihood, my social status, my friends, and my family so I can personally threaten this man that I've never met through email, which means it'll never happen. All I'll do is potentially have law enforcement called on me. Like, that is fucking stupid, right? And so unless you can bring the receipts that people are actually doing this, I'm calling bullshit on it. Everybody says the minute you criticize a character who's not a straight white male, like, oh, it's the misogynist threats and the racist threats and stuff like that. Again, show me the receipts. Otherwise, I'm not taking you seriously. And I don't take you seriously. And as for Miss Maldonado, the quote-unquote Tolkien scholar, I will challenge you any day of the week, 9 times on Sunday, if you would like to have a debate about whether or not this show sticks to Tolkien lore. You were the scholar. You should have known. You should have been telling them, don't do this. Okay, because you claim to be a Tolkien scholar. I think you're more a political activist than a Tolkien scholar. So anytime you want, honey, anytime you want, come on the show or I'll go to you. Okay, I'm part Scottish anyway, so I'd love to see Glasgow. So anytime you want, because I'm calling bullshit on your title as Tolkien scholar. Okay, no. Anyway, all right. So I'm back. It's been a nice Christmas holiday, and I'm back. Sorry, that just got me fired up. That was the first thing I had to come across coming back from the Christmas holiday. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I'm rocking my Straight Outta Tamriel shirt for those of you who are Elder Scrolls fans. See that? For those of you Elder Scrolls fans, I'm writing a prologue to a book. Mrs. J Just J is actually writing a book that, there's 2 versions actually. One version is set in Tamriel, which is the Elder Scrolls universe, and the other version is not. And it's sort of like original locations, but generally the same concept with the story. And that's because if you can't get the licensing for the Elder Scrolls stuff to publish the book, then have to go the other route. But working on a prologue for a book. It's actually kind of cool. Maybe I'll share something with the channel in 2023. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think of Mr. Sanders commenting that they're doubling down on the diversification of Tolkien. Let me know what you think of the recap of how bad Amazon basically took a dump on Tolkien fans. Okay, and one thing I wanted to say, okay, because they made the point like, oh, Tolkien fans of color, you have a place here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me say this, and I want everybody sit up and listen to this part. Okay, there are people of color who watch my channel, right? And I love that. Okay. I am one of those people. I feel that whether it's Tolkien or Dragonlance or Elder Scrolls or any fandom, right? Any fandom should be open to anyone who is a fan of that franchise, right? So I want you guys to know that, yes, I'm not afraid to call bullshit on accusations of racism, okay? I grew up and again, I hate to use myself as an example because it sounds like I'm trying to prop myself up, which I'm not. But I grew up largely lower middle class, barely above broke ass poor, okay, in the Bronx, New York, okay, in a multi-ethnic, multicultural group of people. Okay, I was the minority as the white guy. There was me and my brother. Most of my friends were Latino, and there was some African American. Okay, and there was some other, there's a couple of Italians here and there and stuff like that. But I was the minority. Okay, in my circle of friends growing up, even to this day, a lot of my friends from high school and stuff like that, from the Bronx, right? So yes, Tolkien fans of color are always going to be welcome on this channel, and that's why I will shut down any sort of racist, vitriolic bullshit comment that I see, because I don't obviously don't support racism, don't agree with it and stuff like that. But what I also will not do is I will not be called a racist because I point out that you, in this case Amazon, are playing with race. You admit to you are quote unquote diversifying your cast for corporate reasons, right? For money. Let's just say it. You are doing race-based things for money. If I call you out on that, that does not make me the racist. You were the one that sees dollar signs in race, not me. So I would look in the mirror, and before you start calling Tolkien fans racist because we want at least one fantasy genre that hasn't been bastardized by corporations, before you do that, ask yourself, is it more racist for me to point it out or more racist for you to see dollar signs behind playing one race against the other? Because I'm thinking you're the fucking racist, Amazon, not me. But anyway, my point being to the non-white people of color, BIPOC fans of Tolkien and of this channel, you are always welcome here. You always have a voice here. You always have a place here. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like this whole idea that, simply criticism of the show equals racism and hatred. I don't understand that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. All right, it's good to be back. I had a 3-day break, so I'm going to get right back into it. Got more videos coming up. If you like the video, like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, by all means do so. It gets the word out. I've seen some people commenting here about other channels and stuff like that, and that's great. I welcome that, and a lot of those channels I've reached out to. If some of you guys want to start, promoting this channel in other comment sections and chats, I'm not going to stop you. I think that would be cool, but that's your call. If you have not subscribed, I would hope that you would consider subscribing, at least going into the new year. I could just see things are going to get more and more fun as we get deeper into Tolkien and his work and defending it from this crap corporation known as Amazon. All right, folks, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you. I hope you had a beautiful holiday. I wish nothing but the best for you and yours in this upcoming new year. Let's stick to the fight. Let's dig our heels in. This is going to be a long one. It's going to be like this siege of Angband, right? And I will talk to you guys on the next one. Remember, be good, be safe, be awesome, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.